My Last Duchess Ferrara by Robert Browning. Robert Browning, born May 7, 1812, London, died December 12, 1889, Venice, major English poet of the Victorian age, noted for his mastery of dramatic monologue and psychological portraiture. His most noted work was The Ring and the Book, 1868-69, the story of a Roman murder trial in 12 books. Ferrara is a place in Italy. That's my last Duchess painted on the wall, the speaker says. My last Duchess. He is like a royal or a nobleman. He was the Duke in Ferrara, which is a place in Italy, and he is talking about his previous wife/his Duchess. The speaker is speaking to someone and says, look at her paint on the wall. The poet says, looking as if she were alive. I call. This means that she is dead. Looking as if she were alive. I call that piece a wonder. Now, Francis Pandolf's hands worked busily a day, and there she stands. Here he mentions the artist. It is an imaginative name, Francis Pandolf. There is not artist with this name. What does he say about Francis Pandolf? He puts lot of effort into making this masterpiece. He calls it a wonder, which means it is a great artistic masterpiece. So, the speaker here is talking to someone. Later we are going to know who is this person. He is talking to him about painting on the wall of his previous dead wife, saying to him, look. And he mentions the name of the artist by design, which means on purpose, because the artistic is a very famous person, and he is sort of showing off that I can bring Francis Pandolf to draw my wife. I am wealthy, rich, noble. I can bring an artist like Francis Pandolf. Then the poet says, wilt please you sit and look at her? I said Francis Pandolf by design, I never read strangers like you that pictured countenance. You can realize again and make sure that this is a dramatic monologue because of the language. The poet is instructing the listener to sit down. The depth and passion of its earnest glance. What is the poet talking about here? He is talking about her countenance, her appearance, specifically the look in her eyes, the way she looks. Comparing it to Mona Lisa, usually the discussion about Mona Lisa is about her smile. With this pictures, it is her eyes and look. He described it as depth and passion of its earnest glance, which in a way you can say that it is attractive look in her eyes as she was embarrassed. But to myself they turned, since none puts by the curtain I have drawn for you, but I. Here you have a speech between brackets which indicates that he says I am the only one who draws the curtain. The painting is covered by curtains and he has the authority to pull it over and to close it. It is only me here in control. I choose to whom I show and to hide it from. And seemed as they would ask me, if they durst. He is talking about the strangers again who see the painting. It seemed as they would ask if they dare, but they do not dare to ask me. They do not have the courage to ask me. How such a glance came there, so. Not the first are you to turn and ask thus. No one dares to ask about the look in her eyes. He did not hear from the listener here if he wants to ask or not. He says nobody asks, but I feel they want to ask, but they do not dare. Sir, it was not her husband's presence only, called that spot of joy into the Duchess' cheek. Perhaps Francis Pandolf chanced to say, her mantle laps over my lady's wrist too much. Or paint must never hope to reproduce the faint half-flush that dies along her throat. Here you can see another expression. He says it is attractive, seductive, pretty, passionate, deep look in her eyes, not only caused by my presence. There could be some other reasons. The main major reason is the painter. Maybe the painter was giving her instructions how to posing. Maybe he said that painting or art cannot capture her beauty. Her beauty is above being captured by art. You remember when Lord Byron said in his poem She Walk in Beauty, Nameless Grace, that her beauty is nameless. It is the same idea. Such stuff was courtesy, she thought, and cause enough for calling up that spot of joy. Courtesy equals when something is courteous, it means it is polite. He says something nice to her / it is being gentle. That was a good reason to have a spot joy. Now he is going to list the things that he dislikes about her. She had a heart. How shall I say? Too soon made glad, too easily impressed. She liked waiter she looked on, and her looks went everywhere. What does he think about her? Her heart is easily happy. She would feel glad for any simple thing, she would easily be glad. According to him, is this a good thing? No. In real life, is it a good thing? To some extent yes. It signifies that you are a happy person, everything makes you have and you appreciate everything. I say it is something normal. Now there was a discussion that this is something realistic if the person is happy all the time. And this is what we do in literature, the character is happy all the time like Cinderella. We say he is not realistic. We cannot have a person who is always happy in real life. Here we do not have an evidence that she is the same. Apparently, she is normal, it is just her heart is easily happy and she wants to discover. You are studying the 19th century novel, the Victorian novel, and you know that the woman was as angel in the house, she should innocent, calm, quiet, happy, satisfied, and not negotiating. Apparently, it is the same thing here. Sir, 'twas all one. My favourite her breast, the dropping of the daylight in the west, the bough of cherries some officious fool broke in the orchard for her, the white mule she rode with round the terrace, all and each would draw from her alike the approving speech, or blush, at least. Again, he is listing the things that make her happy. For example, he says it is not only my company. My favourite her breast. The dropping of the daylight in the west, it is sunset. If she is watching sunset, she would be happy. It is normal, everyone enjoys sunset. If someone brought her a bough, a branch of cherries, she would be happy. If someone brought her a branch of fruit, that would make her happy. We understand that when we think about her as a royal lady and a noble lady, we can justify his view. And riding the white mule, not a horse, round the terrace is pleasing her. The wrong thing is that she is happy in the same way she is happy with him. So, she is not treating him in special way. All and each would draw from her alike the approving speech, or blush, at least. Alike equals means equally. Should say something approving that like thank you, or maybe blush at least. This is very detailed about her. She thanked men, good. But thanked somehow, I know not how, as if she ranked my gift of a 900 years old name with anybody's gift. He does not have a problem with her thanking men. When she married him, she was not a duchess. She was not a noble lady. However, because of this marriage, he gave her his family name. She should be very grateful. She should appreciate that. She should not to thank everyone in the same way. Who'd stoop to blame this sort of trifling? Even had you skill in speech, which I have not, to make your will quite clear to such an one, and say, just this or that and you disgusts me, here you miss, or there exceed the mark, and if she let herself be lessoned so, nor plainly set her wits to yours, forsooth, and made excuse, e'en then would be some stooping, and I choose never to stoop. He says to stoop. What does stoop mean? Lowering yourself, degrade yourself. He says who'd stoop to blame this sort of trifling, even you? He says even I had the skill to express myself and clarify the bad behaviors or the bad things she is doing, I would not do that. He says if I have a good ability to speak, do you think that he is not a good speaker? No. He claims that he is not a good speaker, but we do not see that. There is an indication in the poem that he is reluctant to the Duchess. He says I am not a good speaker, and even if I were the speaker, I would not speak to her / I would explain to her. Again, it is she image of the Victorian woman, she should know it herself. She was not sort of sensitive person, maybe she was open to criticism. Maybe she is okay and he spoke to her. What was the solution for him? Oh, sir, she smiled, no doubt, whene'er I passed her, but who passed without much the same smile. she is smiling to everyone in the same way. This grew, I gave commands, then all smiles stopped together. This is the solution. He did not explain to her. He did not criticize her. He did not lessen her. He gave command and all the smiles stopped together. This is based on a true story of the Duke of Ferrara. The Duke of Ferrara killed his wife. There she stands as if alive. Will't please you rise? We'll meet the company below, then. I repeat, the Count your master's known munificence is ample warrant that no just pretence of mine for dowry will be disallowed. He speaks to the listener and he says, the Count your master's. This means that he is the servant. The Count is another noble rank, but it is a little bit lower than the Duke. So, he is the guest of the Duke. They were going downstairs and then they stopped in the middle to watch or to enjoy the painting, and then he says, please stand up and let's go and join the company. Though his fair daughter's self, as I avowed at starting, is my object. Now he is talking about the new marriage. He is talking about the dowry. It is supposed to be given from the father to support his daughter. He says, I hope the amount of money that he is giving his daughter is good/a lot, otherwise I am not going avowed. Nay, we'll go together down, sir. Notice Neptune, though, taming a sea horse, thought a rarity, which Claus of Innsbruck cast in bronze for me. He says that this piece of art was made for me. There was a relation between being rich and owning great masterpieces. If you are educated, rich, wealthy and noble, then you have a lot of masterpieces. Apparently here the poet is criticizing this idea. Please, do not forget to like, subscribe, share my channel.